Welcome back to the show. I'm here with angler and outdoor writer Gord Ellis, and we're talking all about fishing. Now, a big part of fishing, Gord, is how you bait your hook and what you bait it with. So when should you use live bait?
Well, live bait works all the time for fish. Like, that's what they eat, right?
Okay.
So live bait is worms, minnows, leeches, things like that. And you can use them year-round. I find that live bait works best when it's colder water. Like in the springtime, it's hard to beat a minnow. For instance, a minnow on a jig for walleye fishing is fantastic. Leeches work all summer long, and night crawlers work all summer long and into the fall. But there are times when you don't have to use live bait. I mean, absolutely, fish will, like a bass will never turn down a leech, for instance, or a walleye, almost never. But you don't always have to use a live bait.
But if you want to be guaranteed a fish, is live bait the better way to go?
There's no such thing as a guarantee, Janis. That does not happen.
Well,
but
I know that.
Yeah, but it doesn't necessarily hurt. But there are times where you can catch just as many fish with artificials that look like live bait, for instance, and you have some there.
I do.
So those are worms. So this is a gulp worm. It looks like half of a night crawler, right? Kind of gross looking, but that's a copy of a night crawler. And it has scent impregnated in it.
It looks and feels like a real worm.
And these ones here, these red ones, they're more an attractor, but they're in the shape of a worm, right? So again, you could use that for trout or for a bass, something like that. And then if you're jigging and you don't want to use a live minnow, you can actually use something like this, which is this is a gulp. What do they call them here? There's a 4-inch minnow, and they look like a representation of a minnow, but they have all sorts of scent impregnated. The other thing about artificial, you don't have to constantly change them because they fly off or they die or whatever. You can just stick that.
Big pike comes along and takes a chunk out of it.
Anyway, doesn't matter. Like pike will still bite them off. So there's a minnow, and then you can even get like a leech copy, which is black. It's like a twister tail. It's got a little wiggly tail. Looks like a leech, black. It's got again scent impregnated. Works great.
So what do you like using the best? Do you like live or do you like artificial?
I usually use artificial if I can, but I will use live bait because sometimes it works better, especially in the springtime for walleye fishing and a minnow on a jig or on a live bait rig. It's hard to beat.
Now, if you're fishing for different types of fish, is there a specific type of bait you should use, or is it just preference?
For instance, you don't often use leeches and night crawlers for walleye. You might not use a leech for a trout. You'd maybe use a worm, but fish eat whatever. Like they're pretty, they'll eat whatever comes in front of them if they're hungry enough. But generally for walleye and for bass, if I was using a live bait, I'd use a crawler or a leech.
Okay, well thanks, Gord. So we're going to come back with Gord and we're going to talk a little bit more about superstitions and maybe what some of the best places around northwestern Ontario are to fish. Keep watching, there's more coming up on Go Thunder Bay.